Hello all, Alison here. Welcome back to Words and Pictures for the first of 2 Halloween episodes of Books. Be warned, there are some fairly unpleasant stories lying ahead, diving into the dark heart of the human impulse. So by all means, turn down the volume and just watch me turn the pages if you are faint of heart. Otherwise, light some candles and enjoy. So I have these 2 Halloween journals, handmade books, created in various years using lots of Tim Holtz Idea-ology papers and ephemera, the paper dolls of course, and various metal bits and bobs as well. I thought we would dive into this one today and have this one next week on what will be the eve of All Hallows Eve next Wednesday. So watch out for that one then. But for now, we're going to take a look inside the Toxique album. You have been warned. In fact, there are warnings all over the cover here. Beware. Yes, you want to be very careful before you head inside this little album. Elixirs and potions are the topic. And yes, when you hear the truth about some of the things that humans will get up to, casting their wicked spells upon one another. But if you're curious, we will turn the pages and see what lies inside. Our first page doesn't seem too troublesome at first, this sweet young girl with her furry white rabbit. But if you take a slightly closer look at her expression, plus this eye glaring over her shoulder, there are other clues that tell you that she's perhaps not as sweet and innocent as she seems, the bony fingers reaching from beyond the grave. You might find yourself in need of the undertaker's service. In fact, this girl has a very sad history. Her parents died when she was only around 4 years old. They were killed in a terrible house fire. Somebody set a fire beneath their bed and they burned in their sleep. She was only 4. Obviously, she couldn't have had anything to do with it. Her grandparents took her in and brought her up. They did their best, but they did become rather concerned when the pet rabbits they were giving her seemed to disappear with alarming regularity. They had become rather frightened of their granddaughter, and they were right to be so. Not arson any longer, but poison is where she moved to next. These are funeral flowers. These are little shrines of remembrance to her grandparents, kept on the mantelpiece of the house that she now has to herself. Beware of little girls and their rabbits. Let's turn the page, that little reminder of where we'll all end up in the end. But some of us, unfortunately, go there a little sooner than nature intended. Through the ghost page here lurks another story. A husband and wife this time. He, unfortunately, a bit of a brute and a bully, and she, borrowing some inspiration from books she'd read about famous poisoners of the past, managed to locate some poison and administer it through his evening meal, and succeeded in freeing herself from him. Unfortunately, even from beyond the grave, she could feel his influence, his fingers reaching out to her, and ultimately, I'm afraid, she lost her mind through guilt and horror at what she'd done. That's a story, I hope, even halfway worthy of the great master Edgar Allan Poe, extraordinary writer and master of the uncanny. Quoth the raven, nevermore. There's another quote that appears on one of my stamp sets. All that we see and seem is but a dream within a dream. So a little commemoration page there celebrating one of the great Halloween short story writers. As we move on through, we meet some more children. There's something about the children in this book. Here, an innocent-seeming little gang leader at the centre. These children started to feel constrained and frustrated at not being able to do exactly as they pleased in their lives. They engaged in a certain amount of research at the local library, and rather than outright destroying their parents, because of course They wanted to keep their nice, comfortable lives. Houses, meals cooked for them, bedrooms made ready. They discovered poisons that would debilitate or hypnotize their parents, so that of an afternoon, with their mother fast asleep on the sofa, they could go out and get up to whatever they wanted to get up to. Through the next ghostly page, a little reflection of the natural poisons of the world, the scarabs, the beetles, the snakes and the spiders that provide so many of those terrible toxic poisons. Never worse, though, than when in the hands of a human being. You never know when your day is going to come, unless, of course, you go to the fortune teller. These two girls are curious about what their future holds, and so they've bought their tickets. But beware, you don't always hear good news from the fortune teller. Her information may be on the darker side. We all have limited time on this earth, and we all end in the same place, eventually. If you meet some of the people in this book, you might get there rather sooner than you would like to, with their poisons and elixirs and potions. Take, for instance, through this ghostly page, the next two young chaps. Another little hint here with the bare bones, that all is not well in the hearts of these two brothers. But it's not actually them that you should worry about the most, it's their sister. One of the most terrifying expressions I've seen. But she manages somehow to pretend all is well. Is something the matter? What could possibly be the matter? I'm not prepared to say. Some more bony fingers reaching out from beyond the grave, the funeral flowers that warn you that even though these salts and medicines might be being sold by somebody apparently professional, you still need to be careful. These two young boys are the sons of the gentleman apothecary, welcoming you inside their father's chemist's shop. He studied long and hard on anatomy and chemistry, biology, and he has all the latest medicines, patent cures, salves, lotions and potions you could possibly wish. But be careful what you order from him in his little glass bottles. Back in the lab, he might have been topping them up from other sources. Again, the warning is there. If you see those bones, be careful of your trip to the gentleman apothecary. Hardly his fault, though. He inherited the family business. So from the grandsons to the son to the original father, who was also a pharmacist and worked in partnership with the undertakers, the more he could cook up in his pestle and mortar to get rid of his clients as quickly as possible, the more work for his friend, the undertaker. It runs in the family. Your calls will be answered day or night, but you might not want to hear the answer. Can't say I didn't warn you. Curiosity kills the cat, but unfortunately it also seems to have killed a number of other people in this album. I hope that gives you a nice good night's sleep, thinking about some of the stories in that album. Next week, we'll embark on something wicked in the second one. Sleep well all, and happy crafting.